Hey, property management friends. Welcome to This Week in Property Management. I'm your host, Jeremy Pound from RentScale, and I'm also the publisher of Strategic PM. I'm so excited to have our guest on today and talk about a new concept that I think that the property management industry is going to be talking about this year. I've got the brilliant minds behind ProfitCoach here with me today, which we consider a sister company here at RentScale because we share significant amounts of clients and we're constantly collaborating on new issues together. I've got not only the one and only Daniel Craig. Well, I guess there is a second one if you're a James Bond fan, but to me, it's the preeminent Daniel Craig. Plus, we have Bradley Johnson, their newly anointed CEO, here to give us, at This Week in PM, an insider scoop on what I think they're cooking up, and I'm really excited about. But while we wait for our live viewers to join and come online, I'd like to show you a quick clip of a previous episode that you may have missed.
Should we expect more competition in the market as we grow our property management companies? I think so. Some numbers are trending up, some numbers are trending down. It's creating a lot of confusion. As you know, transactional sales are way down in the residential real estate market industry. Sales have come to a near halt. And so these real estate professionals are going to be looking for more ways to grow their business that will actually be available when nobody's buying or selling. And that means that there has to be more demand in the future for renters looking for a place to live. Because if nobody's selling their homes, then they're going to have to become renters. Where are we going from here, and how do we use this to our advantage to grow our business? This all sets us up for a really interesting time in being in property management.
So be sure that you're subscribed to us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or X so that you can watch these industry episodes live and be the first to hear about what's new and trending. Now, I'm going to keep our industry news light today because we've got some great content to share with you. We've got our February new business development scoreboard to share with you, and of course, our featured guests. But unless you're living under a rock or you've been hiking in the Himalayas for the last 2 weeks, you get a pass. You've surely heard about the NAR settlement regarding the standard commission that is included for a buyer's agent in every agreement. Now, if you ask some of my broker friends, this whole thing is a giant nothing burger that really was just a cash grab by some lawyers. But if you go on YouTube or you read the news, this settlement that was just reached last Friday has the potential to disrupt the industry and flush out tens of thousands of real estate agents. And if that were to happen, the most important thing for our industry to think about is how many of those agents are going to start setting up shop in the property management space. Now, I do think it's worth thinking about, and that's why we want you to become as professional and profitable as possible so that you can protect your turf, because owners and tenants need to be working with real professionals. I'm sure that we'll be discussing this more on future episodes, but for now, I just wanted to put it out there. Okay, I'm excited to learn more from our friends at ProfitCoach. But first, and perhaps this is why some of you guys are tuning in, let's bring in Jen and check our February business development scoreboard.
Hey everyone, back at you with another Scale Club scoreboard update. Somehow, and I kind of can't believe this, but we are midway through March at this point and almost done with Q1 of 2024. But I want to take a minute to look back at February and show you what our community did, because we had a record breaker. So without further ado, here is our scoreboard for February of 2024. Thing I want to highlight, and probably the thing we're most excited about here in Scale Club at RentScale, is that 103% to goal in all of Scale Club. What does that mean? That means that our BDMs, we create an actual forecast with you every single month. We know what we want to achieve. And if you look at our community as a whole, we were 103% over the total number of doors forecasted, 3% over the total number of doors forecasted for February. So we are incredibly proud of all of the hard work that our BDMs are putting in to do the right thing. Now, a lot of you will ask, what the heck did you do different? Why are you 103% to goal? Well, some really exciting stuff is going on right now. I think first, we're getting really good at forecasting. I guess that's what happens after 5 years in the business and really figuring this thing out. One, we are getting awesome at forecasting. We are helping you set the right expectations, but we are pushing those BDMs to achieve more and more every single month, and they are doing it. I think one of the things that's really clicked in our community is 2 ideas. One, outbound prospecting. We are seeing BDMs just grab onto this and realize that this, generating your own leads, is really how you are going to achieve your goals. It's how you're going to sign the number of doors that every owner actually wants. We can't rely solely on inbound leads. And 2, practice. We've had a huge attendance at practice, mostly because we may or may not have bribed people with a $500 gift card, but we've got so many people coming to practice that I think they're going back to some of those ideas that they originally learned. And we're talking a little bit about back to the basics, reinforcement. And I think that it's just putting some additional tools in people's toolboxes and helping them close things down a little bit faster and a little bit better than they were before. As Grace always says, our job here is to help you be 1% better every single month. If we can do that and it compounds over the year, imagine the results that you'll see after just a short amount of time. All right, back to the scoreboard. So 103% to goal, super exciting. Our leaders include Miami, Florida at 58 doors for the month of February. That is an increase to what he saw in January. Memphis, Tennessee at 25. Austin, Texas at 22, Denver, Colorado at 21, and Chicago, Illinois at 20. All of them seeing increases from their January numbers. Our community as a whole, which is about 60 business development managers and actually starting to climb because we're seeing some big growth, was at 352 doors for the month of February. That's up from 274 total doors in January. So congratulations to all of our BDMs. We see the effort that you're putting in and day out. It's not missed and it's not underestimated here at Rent Scale. We appreciate everything you guys are doing, and we know that your owners do as well. Another thing that I want to highlight that I think is really cool is our average number of doors added is at 9 for all of our members. And if you look over at the top 50% of our community, you will notice that it is at 12 here. And that 12 is up 15% from the numbers that it was in January. All of this, surprisingly, with the lead volume decrease. So inbound lead volume decreased to 16, down about 20% from January. And a reminder that January was actually down from December. So we continue to see decreased leads, but we also continue to see increased numbers, increased total doors, and increased percent to goal. We're really attributing that to a lot of different things. One, we did host the Learn to Love Closing webinar, and I think that just revamped some of the things we forget about, dusted some cobwebs off, and put some more tools in the toolbox for BDMs to use. But 2, I think we're less reliant on those inbound leads, which is that number that you saw there. And we're really starting to pay attention to generating those outbound leads ourselves as business development managers. So lots of exciting stuff. This month in Skill Dev, we are going to be talking about selling with stories. So facts tell, stories sell. We are going to be working with the BDMs in Skill Dev to develop stories to make you more impactful on your sales calls. If you want an invite to that, or you would like to learn a little bit more about our community, certainly reach out. Otherwise, I will see you again for a scoreboard update in April, talking a little bit about March. Back to you, Jeremy.
Welcome back. I'm excited to bring on Daniel Craig and Bradley Johnson. I want to talk just briefly about what ProfitCoach has done for the industry, what I've watched since I've been around for the last 6 years. Number one, they brought in the NARPM accounting standards. So a lot of you guys are on that. A lot of people talk about how to get on that. We really, watched this company show up and systematize and standardize how people create their accounting. Then what I got really excited about as a kind of a little bit of a data geek is I watched them actually create the benchmark study. So now, like, once they actually got everybody on the same standard, then they started looking at, okay, well, what's good and what's bad? Like, how do I compare ourselves to everybody else? What is the top 20% doing versus what everybody else is doing? And I learned so much from that. We've used so much of that in our business with coaching clients so that we know, because everybody will call us and they said, hey, what's a good conversion rate? What's a good closing rate? What's a good profitability rate? And we had no idea until ProfitCoach showed up on the scene and they did these things. So I've been amazed by that. And I have been getting some inside information, some wind that they may be doing something else that is going to revolutionize the industry just the same way. So please help me welcome Bradley and Daniel. Thank you guys for being here.
So great, man. I really appreciate you having us on the show. I love this. Live weekly TV for property managers. It's awesome.
It's harder than you think it is, as you guys have seen as it gets set up, but I appreciate
You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. People love it and we love doing it and it's amazing. So I want to just first introduce you guys and say that I know you guys are doing something special. You guys are calling in from the same location which you're normally at. You're at the Profit Powerhouse, as I believe you guys call it. You're doing it quarterly, right?
So Powerhouse.
Tell me what you guys are doing right now.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, so we're here for our spring retreat. We have our almost all of our stateside staff here and our global team members zooming in as well. There's about 25 of us collaborating, talking about the future of ProfitCoach. Season 2, some have said. And just setting out a course and figuring out what it's going to look like and what it's going to take for us to get from here to there. We have some big plans and a big vision, and we're just trying to make sure we do the hard work of knowing how to make it happen. So we are here in Elizabeth, Colorado, outside of Denver at the Profit Powerhouse, and it's awesome to be here. This is my first official ProfitCoach event and kind of my first week of work here, getting to know everybody. It's been really great so far.
Brad gave us a great presentation on scalability. Jeremy, you should have Brad back on another time to talk about scalability. It was awesome.
Deal. I'm gonna put that on the calendar right away. I love that.
I'll do it.
So,
sounds good.
I want to focus on it just briefly without spending too long. Obviously, a lot of people know who Danny is because you've been the face of ProfitCoach. But I was excited because you have been a client of ours, and now you are a part of the ProfitCoach team. So just quickly introduce yourself and your background.
Sure, yeah. So as you mentioned, my name is Brad Johnson. I've been in property management in various capacities for about 7 years. For the last 3 years, I've led a company in Wilmington, North Carolina called Sawyer Property Management, managing over 1,200 units in a pretty small MSA. So it's been just a really cool experience getting to manage a pretty large company in a pretty small area. That's led to a lot of good growth and a lot of really efficient processes. And like you said, Jeremy, I actually think the first vendor we ever engaged with at Sawyer, actually I know for certain the first vendor we engaged with once I got there was RentScale. Charlotte Yao is our director of business development there at Sawyer, and she went through the program, learned a whole lot, mapped out our sales process, or their sales process at this point, as they now have a new leader. And saw a lot of growth through that process. So just a little plug, shameless plug here for RentScale. It was extremely effective for us at Sawyer, and I'm sure it's just as effective for everyone else. So yeah, that was a great journey. I was there for 3 years. Danny and I have been talking for the last few months about the future of ProfitCoach and some of the things that I was interested in doing and some of what Danny was interested in doing at ProfitCoach. And it's been an incredible journey to see God's providence in the last few months, this come together and for me to become the new CEO at ProfitCoach. It's an opportunity I'm very grateful for. And this week has been just an affirmation that it was the right move and the right team. And I'm excited to get to work.
I love it. I appreciate you taking a quick moment to do that. Check is in the mail for the reference for sure. But no, I just love hearing the journey, because I think that's really important, is that people know that, I think that's amazing that Profit Coach is bringing somebody on who was one of their clients, their ideal clients, right? And now is running the company. I think that's just that's noteworthy, right? So I just really wanted to point that out, because I think that's so huge. All right. So got Bradley, we got the power team at the Power Profit House. I love it. You guys are talking about some stuff. I know you're kind of like sanding down the edges and putting the glue in, the filler, the finishing touches on something. So I'm excited. Like, typically, what you guys do is so exciting, and your clients get to hear about it. I get a little bit of wind on it every now and then, but I feel like I'm revealing something to the industry for the, 12 viewers that are watching live. So I just want to be honest, but if you guys are watching live, you have any questions, let us know. But don't worry, everyone's going to watch this after we share this. But I'm just really excited, because I am seeing what you guys are doing, and I think it's amazing. So please walk us through, like, kind of what the next big initiative is for you guys.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jeremy. This is really the first time that we have kind of gone public with what we are brewing over here at Profit Coach in terms of our future vision, not just for Profit Coach, but really for the industry. And it's something that we alluded to in the podcast that we did with Jordan over at Lead Simple a few weeks ago. But yeah, this is the first time we're going to kind of lay out the recipe of what we've got planned here at Profit Coach. So we are constantly asking ourselves this question of, how do we create maximum value for the industry? It's really a question that every solid business should be asking all the time. And for us, the way we think about that is really in line with our mission here at Profit Coach, which is helping people become and achieve more than they thought possible. For us, that's an everyday lifestyle, something that we try to filter, don't do a perfect job at, but try to filter all of our decisions and initiatives through, both in reference to our team internally and in reference towards our clients. And so at the end of the day, like, where does value come from? Value comes from people. People create value. And so if we want to create maximum value for our clients, this is true for Profit Coach, this is true for every PM in the industry, the best way to do that is by helping people become and achieve more. We call that BAM, become and achieve more, so that they can help other people become and achieve more. So in other words, if I can help my team become and achieve more, then they can help our clients become and achieve more. And if I can help the owners of a property management become and achieve more, so that they can help their people become and achieve more, then their clients are going to become and achieve more. And the value cycle just continues to expand and ripple out from there. So that's kind of big picture orientation for us. And I think the reason I share that is because when we think about new initiatives at Profit Coach, the lens is really a people orientation. And second to that is the whole idea of what's worked in the past, and what is it that Profit Coach is the best in the world at. And I don't say that to be self-aggrandizing, but just pulling a page from Good to Great, Jim Collins, the hedgehog concept. What is it that we're passionate about? What's our value engine? And what is it that we can be the best in the world at? And what we think, based off of past experience, is that we can be the best in the world at helping property managers go through a cycle that we call the define, measure, benchmark, best practice cycle of value creation. And essentially what that looks like is what we've done in the finance sector. And a lot of credit goes to NARPM for being a catalyst for this. But when we came into property management, we started out with not accounting, not coaching, but we really started out with primarily, let's define the metrics that matter. Let's measure those. Let's benchmark those. And then once we have that collective clarity within our own companies and within the industry more broadly, we can then begin to distill best practices from the top performers, release those best practices out to the industry, and the industry level of awareness, knowledge, and effectiveness when it comes to financial execution in their business goes up.
Excellent. All right. So use obviously a lot of big words there, but it makes a lot of sense. When I say that, I mean, joking, like obviously, we compare you, me, and Jordan, right? I feel like Jordan's got the skyscraper of like big vocabulary. You're definitely like the multifamily house. And I feel like sometimes I'm the, village idiot compared to all of this. Obviously kidding a little bit, but it's great. So let's talk practical. So let's talk just, implementation. I'm a property manager. I'm watching this. What is it?
Yeah.
What's an example of how I do this tomorrow or next week?
So glad you asked. So there's a lot more to this. So what this looks like is basically two fundamental focuses that property managers need to have. And what we are thinking about this again through the lens of is the lens of what we call BAN. All right, this is becoming and achieving more. And this isn't about ProfitCoach. This is about property management entrepreneurs. And success in value creation for their team and their client looks like an orientation towards two aspects: value creation for clients and value creation by maximizing team performance. And what we're thinking about and what the next season of ProfitCoach is all about is moving that define, measure, benchmark, best practice methodology from just finance to value creation for clients and team performance. All right. So the question we're asking is, if ProfitCoach was to take the whole methodology of what I think contributed to the elevation of the financial picture in this industry, in the world of finance, and take that into daily operations, what would that look like? Anybody want to know? I guess 12 viewers, Jeremy, might want to know the answer to that question, right? And so what this looks like from a cycle perspective is what we call a BAM cycle. And this is a cycle around becoming and achieving more relative to value creation and becoming and achieving more around team performance. So what does that look like practically? In the world of property management, you're solving problems. This is what businesses do. Businesses live off of problems. And the basic foundation of how we can execute on solving those problems using this define, measure, benchmark, best practice methodology is based off of this concept of data-driven process design. And this is really a new category that we are championing in this industry. This isn't about a product. This isn't about a software. This is about a from to journey where people are going from a methodology of building processes that look something like, this is what I inherited from my grandfather, and this is what we've done for the last 30 years. Then I started attending some NARPM conferences and got some anecdotal advice on how to tweak this process. And that started to not sort of work. And so we called a few other friends and got a little bit more input. And voila, we have the process that we have today. Okay, that is not data-driven process design.
But it is very common.
But it is very common.
Yeah.
And it is not bad. It's not wrong. But it's not data-driven, and as a result, it lacks the kind of clarity that would really be helpful to optimize processes and create value and improve team performance in the most effective way. So there's a lot more to this slide, but are we tracking so far, Jeremy? Is that layman enough?
I think it is. I think I just would like you, if you don't mind, to maybe actually give us an example. So a process I think about all the time that people have strong opinions about, that you're like, well, you got your strong opinions, but is that actually the right way to do it? Right. We're all in the Facebook groups. We go to the groups, and that's what I'm really taking out of this is that I'm watching, as I've been in this industry, people have these like crazy strong opinions, which I think are great, but it's like, can you back that up? Like, is that really the case, right? Is that really serving 100%. You? And so what is it, what's a great example that maybe you've seen where maybe people have had some strong opinions and then you looked at the data and you're like, well, maybe that wasn't really the right way to do that. Was it leasing? Was it renewals? I'm just curious. Do you have any examples around that?
Yeah. I'd love to give an example. So let's talk leasing. So what this looks like, again, we'll start with the orientation around value creation for clients and what is significant in a leasing process. What we're talking about here is actually doing the work to say in a leasing process, okay, what is the end outcome that we want in a leasing process? All right. I think it boils down to really three things. I'm not the property manager in the room, so Brad, you can tweak this as we go, but essentially it comes down to the right tenant at the right price fast. Okay.
That's it.
That's it, right?
That's what you want.
That's what you want in the leasing process. So what are the measurements of that at the end of the cycle? Well, one of the measurements is certainly days on market. And even as I say those words, people are like, the controversy starts to blow up. Like, is it days on market? Is it days vacant? We can get into those technicalities. I'll use the phrase days on market for now. But so that's the end result. We define that. And this is where ProfitCoach is going to be leading the charge around defining these metrics that matter, defining the way that you can measure them, and defining the kind of milestones that lead up to those output metrics. Okay, so we've got days on market. The next question is, if that's the end metric, what are the milestone metrics throughout the leasing process that have to be defined and measured as well? A good example of this would be time to list. All right. There are value experiences that happen throughout the leasing cycle. It's not just when that lease gets signed, but there are actually value delivery experiences and milestones throughout the process that PM owners may not be taking advantage of and leveraging. One of those could be time to list. So for example, how long does it take from the time you signed the PMA to complete the initial make ready, if you have to do one, to get the property on the market? All right. So that's a milestone, and your effectiveness with that milestone is going to impact the ultimate outcome metric of days on market. So what are those milestones in the journey? And then how do you measure those? How do you communicate that work was done? How do you get that milestone delivery in front of the owner and then measure the value that they experienced through some kind of NPS rating or CSAT score in the middle of that experience? And then from there, as you define those milestones throughout the leasing cycle, how do you then benchmark what's going on, both in terms of your prior performance? So, hey guys, we are at 15 days on market. That's relative to 13 days in the past, or that's relative to the industry average days on market for the last 30 days, because realize there's some seasonality here. There's economic changes that affect these sorts of things. So real-time benchmarking around how that output metric stacks up to what's going on in the rest of the industry. And then once you have that, both in terms of the output metric as well as the individual milestones like time to list or days to list, then you can begin to benchmark, evaluate how you stack up to the top performers. And from that discussion, we can now have a data-driven conversation around best practice. And we go from opinion to validated advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say that we're trying to combat the common practice of opinions and of call my friends. And the other thing that's really unique about this process is it's real time, and it's much faster than the old way of trying to understand value creation and trying to understand this cycle. The seasonality of a property management business lends it to the fact that for the most part, you make edits to your process and to your understanding of best practices on a yearly basis. You try them out in the summer, and then you look back, you try to figure it out, you ask, you see what other people did, see what they come up with, iterate, and then try it again the next year. And what we're talking about is much more real time, much more, hey, I'm seeing this data come through. I'm seeing us not hitting these benchmarks. What are the best practices that we've published and that we will describe that will show how to actually improve those operations on a real-time basis?
Yeah. Which kind of leads to what kind of best practices are we talking about? And I would say three things. One, the first sort of result of this in terms of a category of best practices would just be what Brad said. What does this say about how we need to improve the process? And what are we finding internally? What do we need to delete or modify in the process in order to hit these benchmarks in terms of value, what the customers are experiencing, and in terms of efficiency in the process. But then when you get this feedback loop, there's something else that's also really cool that starts to happen. And that is you actually have, and Jeremy, you're going to love this, I really hope, you have data that actually allows you to differentiate what you're doing, right? So average time to lease or time to list is 7 days in the industry, and it's 3 days for us, or 2 days, whatever the number is. Average days on market is 2 weeks. For us, it's 10 days, right? And so you begin to have the opportunity to communicate the value that you're creating, not just to the world, to new prospects, but to your own clients. And I think one of the things that happens in this industry is it's like, hey, you do a good job, that's all that matters. And I'm here to tell you, if you do a good job, but they don't know you did it, they didn't get any value out of it. They didn't, or I should say, they didn't experience the value. And as a result, that's value unexperienced that they're going to not want to pay for. So when you communicate it to them, they experience it in a new way. Then they're able to communicate that to their network. Referrals start to occur, and then you can use that data to validate your unique selling proposition in the sales process as well. And here's the cool thing. What ends up occurring is that through this real-time feedback loop, you're going to get insight, I believe, and clarity, and admittedly, I'm being somewhat futuristic here, Jeremy, on what new value creation opportunities are. And what that results in is the ability to not just do things more efficiently, but actually create new forms of value for residents and owners in the property management experience. I want to say more on that, but I'll pause there and see if we're tracking so far.
Yeah, we are. And just got to say, it's kind of eerie that every time I ask you a question, the next slide is exactly what you're going to answer. Like, I just want to say for everyone to listen at home, like, we did not practice this. Just every question I ask, you guys go right to it. And it's amazing. And it's exactly what you're going to talk about next. So I think that's fantastic. I love this whole thing. So I don't want to take us too off topic, but I think it's really important because, as a business owner for 20 years, have had teams. And my teams have these strong opinions about how to do things. And they say, hey, this is not working. This is working. And then I always say to them, I'm like, well, hey, like, we have like 6 clients in this process. Like, that doesn't seem very statistical, like, statistically significant, right? Like, we got 6 clients doing this, right? And you're trying to make entire company driving decisions on this. So you are touching on my heartstrings. You are hitting a nerve. I'm like, let's like, this is the scientific method, right? This is like hypothesis, then testing, then results, right? Which I think, has really moved the human race forward in a giant way. Like, this idea, like, I have a hypothesis, let's test it, let's find out what works, and let's move on the data. Like, I'm getting a little 7th grade scientific with you guys, but like, this is just so important. And so many of our staff are saying, hey, I got this feeling nobody wants this product. Nobody wants this add-on. Or, nobody wants to do that. They hate it when we do this. And I'm like, yeah, you pitched it 3 times, or, you've only run into it 3 times. So I love this. But if I'm, a property management company with 14 doors or 40 doors, like, the question is, like, how does this work for me? Like, how am I actually going to get enough value to take action on this?
How are you going to get value to take action? Meaning, like, how do you actually, this sounds really complicated. How do you actually collect this data?
Well, meaning that, is it just my data? Like, so if I'm Mango Tree Property Management and I've got 40 doors, am I just benchmarking on my data, or are you helping me benchmark on the larger community? And we haven't talked about this. So it's just total curiosity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make a bad decision based on the 6 terrible clients I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, this is really the community aspect of what you're referring to as the importance of the community aspect of this conversation. And it was really the community aspect of the approach that we took to finance that elevated the entire industry, and the same thing's got to occur here. So to answer your question very specifically, no, we're benchmarking based off of the data of, hundreds of companies, where we have this scenario, and this is what's complicated, right? Like, well, we all do leasing differently. Well, but what are the key milestones? Does everybody put the property on the market? Yes or no? Yeah, they do. Does everybody, do self-showing or not self-showing? Yeah, they do, right? They do one of those two things. That's or both. That's something to measure. Does everybody end up executing a lease? Yes or no? Yes, they do. So there's going to be a process of understanding what are the macro milestones that everybody's doing, but maybe didn't realize they should be tracking or measuring. And then once we have the foundation of that data structure, we can begin to benchmark globally. And if you want the tactical answer of how that works is, a problem that we've solved in conjunction with our new integration with Lead Simple, where for the first time, we have the ability to report real time on data across multiple clients about how processes are being executed in real time. Did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say a similar collaborative approach to figuring this out together as an industry is necessary. And we're going to be starting on that work very soon. And can I give a little sneak preview?
It's your prerogative,
if you guys don't
man.
mind, do you mind? You can stop sharing your screen. I want to see you guys at this point, like full screen.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, go ahead, Bradley. I want everyone to see you guys.
Yeah, just a little sneak preview, just to put this out there. We're going to start this collab. We've been working on this as a company for quite a while and trying to figure out the best way to approach this. It's not going to be the exact same approach as we took with finance as we want to take with operations, because with operations, we want as much input, both quantitative and qualitative, from operators as we can. So we will be doing something very cool at Broker Owner in our little space that we are creating, and look for more information on that soon. But we want to start that collaborative approach in person at Broker Owner in a kind of a tactile way, and it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, pay close attention to that from us.
That's super exciting. I love that. So I think that, just for the viewers, I'm asking what I think our viewers are thinking. So if I'm a ProfitCoach client, or if I sign up tomorrow, what I think I'm understanding is you're going to look at my numbers, but you're also sharing with me the community numbers. So
that's right.
It's like crowdsourcing the data. It's like, it's not just me and my 40 properties, right? I'm going to get access to best practices at a higher level. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's 100% right. Now, this is industry-wide benchmarking to generate industry-wide best practice.
Yeah, and part of this, I wouldn't say that this is a reaction to the fee maxing conversation. I would say that it is an addition to a better understanding in the industry of value creation. So value creation and monetization, and I've learned much of this from my friend Danny Craig, but those are two different things. And I think in the fee maxing craze, there was a little bit of a loss of understanding of value creation. I saw this in my own company where I operated, where sometimes we would talk about how could we maximize these fees? What could we possibly do with these fees? And there was a little bit of pushback from the PMs about, well, what am I going to say about it? How am I going to justify any sort of new fee or fee increase? And we kind of had to scramble to come up with some of those answers. What's totally different from that is a documented, data-driven understanding of, hey, here's what the industry does. Here's the industry benchmark for days on market or time to list or whatever. And here's how we've exceeded that. Here's how we've taken those days from 20 to 10, which means 10 more days of you collecting rent every year. That's value. And then behind that, you can say, yeah, here are these fees, but look, we're providing you hundreds of dollars of value and we're asking for $75, just to give an example.
Yeah, and I'm looking for the day when I meet the first PM who charges a 150% of 1 month's leasing fee, all right? Like, we have this mental ceiling around 1 month of rent for a leasing fee.
That's right.
But if we can demonstrate the value, who's to say it couldn't be 1.25, 1.5, or 2.8?
It is what it's worth.
It is what it's worth. And I think the reason this is important is there's nothing wrong with fee maxing fundamentally. There's nothing wrong with monetization strategies. But if you have an orientation to where you're only thinking about monetization strategies and not value creation, at some point, the piper has to get paid. And this is something that I'm a little concerned about when I start seeing average profitabilities continuing to creep up in significant ways in the top performers of the industry, where we have, companies, the top 25% of companies who are high performing companies making 32% profit margins. That's great. But at the end of the day, like, this is a capitalistic country, and those opportunities are going to get pressured, because if you look at data from people like Greg Crabtree, they say that 5% is break even, 10% is a decent business, and 15% profitability. You better look out for competition. We're at 32%,
or the government,
right? And so we've got, I think, potential pressures in terms of peak profitability in the industry.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's my supposition. We've got maybe these realtors exiting real estate sales, moving into property management. We've got the government potentially looking at revenue junk fees, as they call them. And what we're going to need is a very clear line of sight on exactly what value do we create, and then how can we present that in a monetizable way, in a believable way, in the sales process and throughout the client experience, in a way that will allow us to continue to keep high revenue per unit relative to true value that we know we're creating, because we have the data to prove it.
And the win is clear for the owner, right?
That's great. Okay, thank you so much for that. That last clarification was obviously just more in line with what we do here at Rinsco. I mean, Brad's seen our playbooks. I mean, we've been selling value for decades. Well, not decades. We've only been in the business 6 years. I exaggerate. We've been selling value for years. Right. And it's true, because we just anecdotally are explaining to people the difference between the way we do it and the way other people do it, and how much more valuable that is. So this is the line we say all the time. When everybody pushes back on price or fees, you don't, like, the value of property management is not what you pay per month. It's what you make over years, right? If you protect the asset and you resist damage, or if you reduce vacancy, or you market the property and you're able to get more for it, that's the value. The value of property management is such a dynamic variable. It's really hard to go apples to apples. And so many things in our life, like the price is, if I can get the same apple for less money, that's a good deal. But as you guys know, when you're buying professional services, sometimes paying less is actually the worst thing you can do. Sometimes the costs are so hidden. And that is the battle of selling property management. That is the battle, is saying, hey, we're not squeezing out more of your pie, we're growing your pie. Like that, that is what we talk about all the time. It's like, what is the difference? I mean, this is going to resonate with you guys, I think, because, you're in accounting. What do you pay a bookkeeper versus a CFO? The bookkeeper has no bearings on your business other than just counting up the pennies. But a CFO has the ability to actually say, hey, if we move this over here, if we leverage this could actually grow the pie. And so I think all the time, too many customers are thinking about professional property management as bookkeeping, when it's really CFOing, right? And what you guys, do for your clients as well.
Right.
So I think that you guys are giving so much teeth to that concept that we talk about all the time. Is that kind of what you're trying to do? I mean, does that resonate with you guys?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And really what it moves us to, I can reshare my screen here, is we've talked about this new category of data-driven process design. The second key category that we have to begin thinking about here as an industry is data-driven value creation. And to us, that is going to be the future of profitable property management, to actually have the data to validate the value that you're creating.
Wonderful.
So I want to go, if I can, Jeremy, through the second half of the cycle around team performance. Do I have time?
Let's do it. I mean, it's just, I'm too interested to say no. So let's go.
Okay. All right. So we've got this, what we call a BAM cycle for clients, for residents. Now, what does that look like internally for team performance? What it looks like, shock of all shocks, is something very similar. Define, measure, benchmark, best practice. And there's certainly going to be an overlap in terms of the kinds of things that we're looking at, the metrics we've defined. Certainly from a client experience perspective, days on market matters for the client, but it also matters for the team to be understanding and having an awareness and performing according to that metric. So there's experience metrics. That's really the quality of work, but then there's also quantity of work. There's efficiency, there's effectiveness. And that would look a little bit more like, hey, it took us this long to sign the lease, but how many leases did this particular leasing agent sign in a 30-month period? Or another way of looking at that, which is a really more granular approach of what we talk a lot about here at ProfitCoach, being labor efficiency. How many dollars did we spend in labor per lease executed? Okay. And so we're looking at the team performance through the lens of experience delivered to clients, productivity, and also fundamental labor efficiency at a transactional per process, per task level. So when we define what those numbers are, then we measure those, then we benchmark those, we begin to answer some of the biggest pain points in people management, which is like, what is the capacity of my team relative to the rest of the industry? What, my people are constantly telling me they're busy. Is that true? Within my own team, who are the top performers? Who are the bottom performers? And then we can begin to benchmark internally and benchmark from a global industry perspective on the performance of a team, of the team that generates best practices in a very similar way to what we see on the value creation side of the equation. And that would be, again, number one, improving the process, right? Like, we want to make it easy for the team. What extra steps have we introduced? And this is to your point, Jeremy, like, have we built the process around the 80% or the 20%? Do we have a process that's designed for the core target audience, or have we added complexities to the process for the outliers that are really bogging down the performance of the team? So how can we improve the process, make it easier and more efficient for the team to execute on, so that we're now allowing them to create more value with the time that they have? Secondly, there's a feedback loop that results in a skill development, performance improvement orientation around the team, where it's not just like, hey, the way we do labor efficiency here at Orange Mango Tree, thank you, I got it. Mango Tree Property Management is no longer just, hey, we're going to go hire some cheap people in another country to do stuff faster. No, we have the data now to say, we can actually help you be a better human being, to become and achieve more in this role. And we're going to coach you to that. And then thirdly, what we begin to have open up here is the opportunity to open up new value creation opportunities for our team. So where they can actually do more and better cool things for our clients, create more value. And also we can expand the team because we found new ways to create value for our clients. And so what this boils down to is really a maximalist approach to labor efficiency, which I think, Jeremy, is why Greg gave us this like ratio. And if I always remember that what Greg Crabtree taught us about labor efficiency is, you're not trying to sort of like squeeze labor efficiency to be the smallest portion of revenue. That's why we don't use a percentage-based model where we want to get labor down to 25% of revenue, right? No, we're using a ratio because we want to maximize value relative to what we're putting into the team. And this is an expansion maximalist approach to creating labor efficiency that really has a belief in human potential at its base. And if we can get team performance down and we can help our team become and achieve more, then they'll be able to help provide value in a way that helps clients become and achieve more. And I'll wrap with this. What the net result is a new approach to team performance called data-driven team performance, and ultimately an improvement in labor efficiency. And my favorite part of this whole slide is the fact that the way this is organized is really the ratio of labor efficiency. And that is value creation, revenue per unit over team and team performance. When value creation goes up, team performance goes up, labor efficiency goes up, profitability goes up, and every property management owner in the industry wins.
Okay, hold on. We got to extend this whole show by an hour, because all I hear is you got to reduce your employees. Just get to like 100, 200 doors, maximize profit. Like, the people are the problem. Like, you should not have people in your property management business. I obviously don't believe that, but that's what everyone's talking about. So if you don't mind, stop sharing your screen again, because I would love to actually see you react to that. But like, this is what everybody talks about, is like when you really like built your business the way you should, you've taken people out of it, and it's as small as possible. Everybody's global. It's all software, process. Like you're taking us back 20 years, Daniel. Like,
yeah,
right?
I've heard the same criticism, obviously, and I'll address it in a couple ways. The first one is, and this is just kind of going back to something that Danny said, but is relevant to what you said as well. Any PM operator who's watching this can probably resonate with this feeling that if you manage a medium to large size property management company and you have multiple property managers, there is often this feeling of, from an operator perspective, a lack of understanding of exactly how they're doing their work, which results in a feeling amongst the whole company that every property manager basically has their own little small business that they're running in whatever way they want. But what most property management operators do is, because we just assume that all people are all the same and they're all doing things in the same level of efficiency, we give them the same amount of properties to manage each. And that just doesn't make any sense, because people have different capacities, and that's okay. And also, people are different levels of efficient in their work if there is not a measured, understood, proven process of the way that our company does work. And that's what we are trying to get to. We're not trying to say you PM have to do this exactly the same way every single time. There's no exceptions and there's no nuance. It's a customer service business. That's not how life works. But when it comes to core processes, if there can be a data-driven approach to how we do work, then we can do two things. We can have a better understanding of capacity per PM, and we can also start to introduce a more data-driven approach to team compensation. Particularly, I mean, it will apply to every part of the business, but particularly to property managers. There is often a lack of understanding of, how should I pay this PM? Is it by unit count? Is it by revenue? What is it? We're going to be able to show a lot of data around performance, which will allow us to tie compensation to performance, which I think most people want. And certainly the PMs that you want sticking around for a long time, they want to be compensated to some degree on performance. So I would say that both of those things are a maximalist view towards people and how people create value. Yeah. My last point on that is, if you can do that, and if you can grow the amount of units that each property manager manages, you start to develop the capacity for your company to take on, rather than get rid of as many people as possible, add as many doors as possible. Yeah. And now I'm speaking your language and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Add as many doors as possible, because we have this efficient system that can take whatever sales the sales side can generate. And then you start to be able to add property managers to that, because you have the right systems in place to add as many doors as you possibly could.
Okay, you guys should just expect that to be real on every social media channel as soon as possible, because I love that. Obviously, that's the Kool-Aid that I've been brewing up for a long time. But no, I love that. I do think that I have a certain romance around the opportunity that a small business creates in a community, for people, for team, for camaraderie, for impact on people's lives. And I love having this conversation with you guys, because you're the profit coaches, right? And so many people think, hey, it's a numbers game, it's all about profit. There's no room for that human element. There's no room for that impact, right? But I love what you're saying. You guys are actually saying, no, like, this is a tool, and if you organize it correctly, yes, you actually are going to create a lot more income and more impact by being romantic about the human element. Am I misquoting you guys on that?
No, you're spot on. Business is people, plain and simple. Business is for people. Business is by people. And if people are like, well, what about AI? My answer is, people make AI. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, the reality is, we all need to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what is our fundamental orientation towards people? If we view people as an inconvenience, something to be minimized in our business, you're going to experience, that path. And I hope that works for you. That's not the business we're in. We're in the people business. We believe people are made in God's image. They should be cared for. They have value. They have worth. They have potential. And if we can find a way to maximize that potential for its own sake, then great things happen in business.
I love it, guys. I did not expect the call to go there, but that's amazing. I mean, obviously, I have a little confirmation bias because I definitely agree with you guys, but I just don't think enough people are talking about that. This is the stuff you don't find in business books. This is the stuff they don't teach you in business school, right? This is the stuff that you learn from experience, and it takes leaders to do this, honestly. Like, nobody is going to tell you this is what you do. This is something you show up and decide to do. And I think that's real leadership. And I'm watching you guys do that. And I think that both of us have this like kind of secret, maybe not so secret, but kind of subtle secondary impact that we are trying to basically infect that same leadership into our clients. Would you guys agree?
Well, that 100%. Let me make it very unsubtle.
Yeah.
We have a vision for this industry where the status quo acceptance of the idea that property management is a sucky place to work goes away. And I really believe that we can transform this industry by clarifying what success looks like for every person on our team and making this place a world-class industry to work in, because people know if I show up to Mango Tree Property Management, I know exactly what success looks like. I'm going to be equipped with the data, the coaching, and the tools to crush it. And this is the industry that I know I can create a ton of value in, receive a ton of value as a result, and succeed. And, shall I say, become and achieve more than I thought possible.
Yes, you shall.
We shall. So anybody watching this that's fired up right now, like I am, what do they do next? How can they learn more? Is this something that's coming? Is it something they can sign up for? Even if I'm watching this 3 months from now, what's a good next step?
Yeah, no, we are in the thick of this. You can reach out to ProfitCoach. I'm just going to give you my email address. So hit me up personally, Daniel@pmprofitcoach.com, Brad@pmprofitcoach.com. And we would love to sit down with you and talk about what it would look like to implement data-driven process design in your company. This is something we're doing right now. We've got the team. It's something we're excited to implement. And then what's really unique about this is people think like, oh, that's just like, they're going to write out processes. No, we're implementing processes simultaneous to giving you this data component, which just really quickly is what we call, what we've developed up to this point is what we call our SIGI dashboard, which is a set of metrics that tell your team if they can go home yet. Can I go home yet? SIGI metrics. So when we put the process in place and then tie the data, the real-time reporting around how those processes are being executed, you have a 1-2 combo that's hard to resist. That's what we're ready to do in your company and help you take your game to the next level.
I love that. We talk about that. That's something we talk about at EO all the time is there's nothing more important to employee satisfaction rather than, did I have a good day? Did I have a good week? When there is ambiguity of like, am I doing my job well? Like, you create employee dissatisfaction. And so I got to say, like, when you hire these top performers, which we all like crave, some of these people are like, I could have done more. I could have done more. And they go home on Friday night and they're not satisfied with their job. I've seen that. I've experienced that. And when you give them the ability and say, you've done enough and you've made a difference and you've crushed it numerically, quantitatively, they really like raise their hand and say, I'm never leaving here. This is amazing. So it's just a personal anecdote that I have.
Absolutely. People want to know if they're winning or losing. And the really cool thing that SIGI does is it shows you, it allows you to see if you're winning every day. And it motivates you to reach that place where every day, today was a win, today was a good day. My expectations were clear and I met those expectations, and I can go enjoy the rest of my evening and get back at it tomorrow.
Love it, guys. I got so much love for you guys, what you're doing. I love how personal you're making this. The human element, I mean, we're a kinship around that. So appreciate what you're doing. Super appreciate that you spent the time with me today during your retreat. That's not lost on me because I know that's valuable time when you get everybody together. Brad,
going for the team photo right now.
Yeah.
What's that?
We got to go for the team photo right now.
All right, go do it. Brad, I'm so glad that you're part of this. Danny, I mean, it's been an amazing relationship over the last 4 or 5 years. And however I can help you, I just love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us on.
Thanks,
we really appreciate it.
You got it. Say hi to everyone for me. Take care.
Bye.
All right, well, that was amazing. I want to go through the event calendar and then wrap up because I know we went a little long. I hope you guys enjoyed that. But before we do that, just a quick word from one of our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Strategic PM, the magazine for property management entrepreneurs and executives. If you go online to strategicpm.com today, you're going to find an entire website full of content written about your industry and by your peers. And it's completely free to sign up. Just go ahead and click on the create a free account right in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on that, not only can you create a digital account, but you can actually add your mailing address and we will send you a free 1-year subscription of the print magazine, which will be showing up in your offices every single quarter. So if you take a look inside the magazine, what you're gonna see is that we are focused on growth. We've got 5 pillars of Strategic PM: vision, strategy, culture, marketing, and experience. You're going to be seeing some great high-class content from some of the best thought leaders in the industry talking about the matters that matter the most to your business. So sign up for free today at strategicpm.com and look for the magazine in your office.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking around for this extra long episode, but I thought it was great. I had some serious questions about what they were doing, and I'm really excited about it. Hope you guys found that valuable. Let's just wrap up. I want to share some events, some of which I will personally be at. So I'm getting ready next week to fly out to Napa for the NARPM Cal event, which I'm really excited about. It is next Thursday and Friday. It is March 28th to 29th. Secretly, I'm actually flying out early. Going to hang out with Jen, and we're going to have a little bit of vacation time, and it's going to be amazing. I'm hosting a dinner on Wednesday night with some of you guys that you already know about, but I'm excited to see you guys at Cal NARPM. And if you're in the area and you haven't signed up yet, go ahead. It looks like it's going to be an amazing conference. Jen from my team, who you saw on the scoreboard, is speaking, so it should be great. Just after that, just a week or two later, April 8th to 9th, Denver NARPM is having their local conference. It's their first time 2-day event. Jen and I are actually the opening keynote speakers for the day. Got some exciting stuff to share with you guys that I think is going to be widely applicable for anybody in the property management space. We're excited to share some new stuff with you guys. So if you're in Colorado and you can make it to Denver on April 8th and 9th, we will see you there. Then I just maybe take a quick break before I go back to conferences. April 16th to 18th, we've got the NARPM Broker Owner, one of my favorite conferences of the year. I'm so excited to see you guys. I hope to have some meals with so many of you guys, our clients. So April 16th to 18th, NARPM Broker Owner David Green is the keynote from Bigger Pockets, who I am a fan of. A lot of our clients are speaking at that, and it should be amazing. It's in Amelia Island, Florida, flying to Jacksonville. It should be great. If you don't know about it, Second Nature, Rent Scale, and Lead Simple are hosting a program for non-NARPM members, if you're listening, who have never been to a broker owner before. And if you sign up, we will actually subsidize your ticket. NARPM is involved with this. If you meet with ProfitCoach, Lead Simple, and Rent Scale, we will actually cover your ticket and some flight allowance and some hotel allowance. So could be going to NARPM Broker Owner for free, although it's limited to a select amount of people, and people are piling into that, so it may sell out very soon. And then we've got a ton of stuff in Q3 coming up, which I'll start talking about soon. But last one that is in Q2 that is on my radar is the IMN Single Family Forum. Now it's in Miami. It's May 20th to 22nd. As you guys know, the studio here is in Boca Raton, so Miami is only about 40-minute drive away. I may end up going to that one, but if you're interested, I know a lot of my clients are going to that, and it is a very large conference. You get exposure to a lot of people, so be interested to see you there. That is the calendar, and that's it for us this week. Thanks for joining in and learning about the latest news, and the best practices from the top residential property managers and vendors, like you just heard, in North America. Please be sure to join us every time so you don't miss out on your next competitive advantage. Check out all the latest going on in property management and get details and show notes about today's show and our guests. Just head over to strategicpm.com. Like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. We're pretty much everywhere, so that you never miss an episode. And that's what's happening this week in PM. See you next time.